You are sacred love. Sacred love is all that you are. You are sacred love, God. Sacred love is all that you are. You are sacred love. Sacred love is all that you are. You are sacred love, God. Sacred love is all that you are. Show the way, God, show the way. I want to live in such a state of grace. Lead the way, God, lead the way. I want to live in such a holy place. Such a holy place. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'll sing. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh, yeah. All right. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just what I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just what I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here, yeah. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Sing it again. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
Woo! Oh, good morning. Welcome to Unity Spiritual Center, and welcome to our guest, Daniel Nahmod. Yay! You know, I think it was 2003 when we first met, and you were standing out in the lobby listening to our band play Sacred Love. And I says, everything okay? And you go, I'm not used to hearing other people do my music. Yeah. There was that amazing look. Anyway, you're going to get to hear lots of Daniel today and hear a lot from his heart. So glad you could join us. And those of you that are joining us online, hello. And if any of you are joining us for the first time, there's connection cards on the table, or you can go online to our website. There's a Let's Connect card on there, just if you'd like to get our weekly newsletter or prayer request or whatever. Make that heartfelt connection. Our coffee bar is open. If you haven't been here before, please feel free to help yourself to coffee or snacks during the service at any time. And bathrooms are out that door down the hall. You at home, you're on your own for snacks. Sorry about that. We do have wonderful prayer support here. If you have a prayer for celebration or for concern, our prayer box is over there behind the sofa. If you're online, you can drop me an email at revsharonketchum@gmail.com. If you want updates on all that's happening, check out social media, our website, and Facebook. And with that, we'd like to affirm our mission statement. We spiritually awaken to our oneness with God, each other, and all creation. And this comes out of our vision of seeing together a world powerfully transformed through the growing movement of shared spiritual awakening. And we say shared because we understand it's not a right and perfect path, not having the correct answer, but it's about honoring ourselves whatever path we're on and wherever we are on that path. So let us affirm together. The enlightenment of the Buddha shines within us. The compassion of the Christ moves through us. The power of Jehovah strengthens and guards us. The presence of Allah surrounds and guides us. Wherever we are, the Tao is, and all is God. We like to pray for our neighbors. One prayer celebration that came up on the way in this morning, it's the 150th anniversary of the invention of jeans. So I'm thrilled, yeah. Celebrate that in prayer. Also celebrating Bo Shama Nog. And you may not have heard this person's name, but they were competing at the Southeast Asian Games. And there was a 5,000 meter race, and it was raining, and it was really tough out there running. And this person finished last, but they finished. And the fact that they finished in the rain after everybody else had finished through, she has just proved to be a great inspiration to others. So I just love celebrating her because it's not about that you have to win. It's about doing those things that are yours to do and doing them the very best that you can. Of course, we want to hold everybody in our U.S. legislature in prayer that wisdom and guidance awakens with them and they find the resolution to the debt ceiling. Because we know this is a prosperous universe and that there is a way, and we celebrate our abundance as a country. Also holding the G7 summit in Hiroshima, Japan, which celebrations are coming together, and there's still that prayer for all those that suffered in Hiroshima. How many years ago, was that? So there's a whole gamut of things. So let's just take a moment to open our hearts to take this wide gamut of the human experience into prayer. Even as we joyously celebrate with all those who are having their own individual achievements, that kindness to others, large or small, we join them in love and gratitude in our hearts for their expression. At the same time, we open our heart to embrace those that may be in pain, may need courage, those that are in countries that are in states of war. Our neighbor down the street who has just received a diagnosis that may feel frightening, so very uncomfortable in this moment. We know that in truth that we are in this one consciousness, this one presence, this vibration of love and interconnectedness that goes beyond whatever we see to that deepest feeling of our soul and our hearts. Let's just take a moment to feel it, to be it, to connect it. And for this truth, for this one presence, we say thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Amen. And of course, we cannot pray for others if we do not fill our own cup. So we pray for Unity Spiritual Center of Lansing, which is you and I, and those of you joining us virtually. Let us affirm together. God is a love budding life within us, the positive force that seeks full bloom. Our hearts let go of fears and anxieties. We are a true reflection of love and wisdom. We spring forth with thoughts, words, and actions to be a blessing to everyone we meet. And so it is. Allah, Shalom, Amen, Namaste. So a little time to have a meet who's ever sitting with you at the table. Matthew, maybe you can talk with Jeff over there. In there. So here's the question for this morning. You're going to have to think a little bit on this one. What is something that seemed like an absolute disaster, painful, fearful, whatever that was, and actually turned out to be a blessing? I mean, you're sitting in a blessing from the disaster of the fire. But in our own lives, we've had those things that have seemed absolutely awful, and then you look back and you go, wow, if that hadn't happened, this wonderful thing wouldn't have happened. So if you'd like to take a moment, discuss that at the table. Craig, maybe you can join behind you there. There's some folks. So what has happened in your life that was a disaster and turned out to be a blessing? We discussed this live for the people online, so they...
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
For me,
Yeah.
it was it felt like a disaster at the time, or certainly like a death at the time when I realized that the life I was living in Chicago was the wrong life.
Oh, isn't
And I
that
had to
frightening?
leave it all, and it was the saddest, scariest thing, especially leaving the fiance I had.
Oh, wow.
And
Heart and pocketbook.
and everything that's come from that came from that. Everything came from that death. Everything since then came from the
That
death of
death.
that, and that was a very hard day, and turned out to be a good thing for
You know,
probably everyone, I would think.
It was similar with me, too, because I was working in the garment industry. I was vice president of manufacturing.
In the garment industry.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
Los Angeles and Toronto.
Yeah.
The company went bankrupt. I went back to school, didn't know what I was going to do, and found Unity. And
Company went bankrupt. Didn't know.
if you're not going to leave me, then I'm going to kick you out, like the building did.
Right.
If
Get
you're not
kicked
going
out
to,
of the nest.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and there it goes.
It's a painful lesson that a no is as good as a yes.
It is. That
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
yeah,
Or no is as good for you
as a yes,
as a yes.
and sometimes better.
Long term anyway. Long term.
Yeah, in the minute it's a
Most
little,
of the time.
yeah.
Most of the time. Most of the time.
So it is. Well, you want to bring everybody back together with a
Sure.
song? Okay.
There is more than enough in a universe that you created. There is more than enough on a planet of sacred design. Your announcements made me think of this song. There is more than enough for humanity made in your image. Why would I worry? Why would I doubt? Why would I ever think I'd go without? Why would I worry? Why would I doubt? Why would I ever think I'd go without? Your infinite love made me, made everything I see, and all that will ever be is your infinite love. Let the world know the truth, whatever we choose to do. Your infinite love will prove more than enough. Your infinite love made me, made everything I see, and all that will ever be is your infinite love. Let the world know the truth, whatever we choose to do. Your infinite love will prove more than enough, more than enough, more than enough.
Woo! Oh. Wow. Okay. Thank you. Whoa. Yeah.
You're talking about the G7 and all these things, and I'm
Yeah.
thinking of
Thank
songs.
you.
I always think of songs.
Yeah. We're still free associating from yesterday. Our daily word for today is protection. And our affirmation is I practice the presence of God. I feel secure. And we have a prayer that we say at Unity very often, the prayer of protection we end each service with, knowing that because there is only one power and one presence, God is our protection. God provides us the wisdom and the courage that we need to face whatever is happening within our lives. So let's affirm this together. As I practice the presence of God, I feel secure because you're more than enough. Because you are more than enough. And each month we look at one of our core values, and this month we're looking at the idea of spiritual awakening, understanding that it's different for each individual, that everything that we do is part of this practice of learning to feel that oneness, that one presence, the infinite love, the connectedness, that there is no other, there is nothing against us, that it's all ultimately for our highest good. So let us affirm together. We seek to experience and live from a state of conscious oneness with God, each other, and all creation. And just a quick note, next week, it is holiday weekend, but we are doing euchre in here at noon, so if you're euchre players, come on out and have some fun. And if you want information about what's happening in June, there are handouts on your table. We are switching from announcements to something you can take with you and read on that. And with that, I get to turn over the service to my dear, dear friend Daniel.
Very trusting of you.
I know.
One never knows with Daniel. Daniel is a little bit of a potluck. Euchre, I haven't heard the word euchre in a long time. When I was growing up, my Bubby and Zadie from Europe, from Poland, they used to play something called kaluki. Anybody ever heard of kaluki? I have a feeling it's similar to euchre, if I had to guess. But that was a pastime. The handful of old-timers who had made it from Europe used to sit around and sip coffee and play kaluki. And every so often they would let a kid sit with them, but most of the time we were not supposed to be at the table. I have no idea how much they were betting, but I'm kidding. Anyway, so good morning. Nice to be here, really nice to be here. And let me just say, before I say anything else, you don't need me to say it, and I'm not saying it to pander or anything else. I'm just saying it simply true. This place is beautiful, and this minister is a lovely person through and through. Yeah. Yeah. And those two things are connected, as you know. I'll tell you, I can tell, I'm off the subject already, but I can tell the personality of a minister usually within 5 minutes of arriving. I've sung at probably, I don't know, a couple thousand houses of worship. And I can tell you whether the minister has OCD within 5 minutes of meeting the first couple of volunteers. Do you know what I mean? Like, people are either on edge or they're relaxed, they're warm or they're nervous or they're busy. You know what I mean? I can tell. This place feels a certain way because this woman is a certain way. And you all are lucky to have her. I'm just going to say it. That's it. There you go. Yeah, you can wipe the blush off your face. I just wanted to say it. It's worth saying publicly every so often. It's a hard job. It's a hard job. And there's more things on the job description than anybody ever read on a job description, if you know what I mean. It is a complicated job, and you do it gracefully. Yeah. More gracefully than I tune a guitar. There's one power, invisible, and you see it everywhere and every day. One power, indescribable, and just speak of it with every word you say. Mysterious until you know the truth. As simple as the love inside of you. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord. Call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, angel's wings, or heaven's door. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? It's the power of the love in you and me. We speak so many languages, different clothing, different colors, different names. But different is only dangerous when we forget that in the heart we're all the same. We'll remember once we close our eyes to see that such distances were never meant to be. Call it God, call it Spirit, or Jesus, or Lord. Call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, Hashem, or heaven's door. It's Muhammad, it's your mind, it's your soul, or it's your sign. It's the universe, it's music, Mother Earth, or Father Time. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? Whatever name you give it, it's the very air we breathe. It's the power of the love in you and me. One power, yeah. One power is what we are. It's the moment of creation. It's an everlasting peace. It's the freedom of forgiveness. It's the sweetness of release. It's the joy of inspiration. It's the sunshine on your face. It's the birthright of all nations. It's the boundlessness of space. It's the beauty of a baby, the serenity of sleep. It's the anger we abandon, for it's love that's most deep. It's one power. Oh, what we are is one. It's the power of the love that lives forever in you and me. It's the power of the love in you and me. I suspect I'm not the only person in this room who was not raised to believe what that song says. I was not raised to believe what that song says. Not really. I mean, I was raised to be a good boy, you know, kind of basically respectful and pay taxes and do my duty, you know what I mean? But to equate different religions, no, we were raised with one of them that was ours, and one community that was ours, and one group that was safe. And the rest of the world was kind of a scary place, you know, to be kept a little bit at bay. Anybody else raised that way? Any fundamental religion, actually, any club, really, even like the Boy Scouts. I mean, you got to build walls around your club, otherwise there's no club, right? You got to build walls around your nation, otherwise there's no nation. I mean, literally or figuratively, it seems. So I was raised in a traditional Jewish home, I love being Jewish, and I love the history, and I love the traditions. I even love some of the food. But there was an aspect of it that never felt right to me. Exactly. Well put. Well put. So well summarized. The aspect of it that never felt right to me, by the way, wasn't something that I blame anybody for. The aspect of it was an insularity. The Jewish community. I grew up in Chicago, Skokie, north suburb, and it was a tight-knit community. It was so tight-knit, actually, that we're still friends, or my parents are, and my brothers even are, still friends with people that we went to synagogue with when we were little boys. You know, in fact, I think, no joke, this weekend my parents are at the bar mitzvah of the grandson of one of those families that we went to synagogue with. I'm not even friends with them anymore, but my parents are still friends with the parents and the kids and the grandkids. It's that close and tight-knit. And it was also a community, especially in Skokie, actually, ironically or coincidentally. I don't know if you remember anything about Skokie, but Skokie at the time, when I grew up in there in the 70s and the 80s, Skokie was like 50% Jewish, and much of that Jewishness, much of those Jewish people were Holocaust surviving, including my own family. So that'll make any community tight-knit, coming through war, essentially, coming through trauma. It'll also make you afraid of the world. And that's, again, I don't hold that against anybody. I get it. But I can't even take credit for it. It just was true about me, is I never actually, you know, that joke that I think is Groucho Marx, you know, I never wanted to be a part of a club that would have me as a member. Was it Woody Allen who said that? Oh, okay. But for me, it was I never wanted to be a member of a club that excluded everybody else. And that's, unfortunately, like I said, that's kind of the nature of a club. Every religion teaches, one way or another, you know, either some variation of we're right and they're wrong, or we're right and they'll get there, or we're right and we'll tolerate them, you know, or some along the spectrum. And I'm not saying it to be glib or hostile or anything. I'm just saying it's kind of the nature of it. For me, it never felt right, and I don't know why. And it was very inconvenient, and it still disappoints my family. I'm sure I'm the only person here who's the weirdo in the family. Right? You all are right down the middle, the straight arrows in the family. Nobody thinks you're hippies off the reservation, right? Nobody. Just me. Just Danny. Just Danny's the flaky one. I mean, I had never been in a church, except for the semester I spent in England, and my parents were kind enough to send me for a semester in college. I had never been in a church until I sang in one. We didn't talk about church. We didn't say the word Jesus. It was it was a very close, clear path, and I deviated from it big time. I'm the weirdo I'm the heretic, you know, for singing a song like One Power. That's not. Again, my parents raised me to be a good person, but not a one power person. The occasional time when I do sing in synagogues, I make sure to tell my parents about it, because it makes them so happy and proud, you know, because that's where they wish I was singing all the time. It's just true. And in fact, Sharon asked me if there was a question to ask for the sharing, and that's why I came up with that. I came up with that question. Have you ever had a disaster? I didn't use the word disaster, you know, but just like a setback or something that turned out to be a good thing. And in my case, ironically, one of the things that happened for me as a kid, and I'm now 52, and it's kind of getting clearer over the years, is that I went to a private Jewish school just through 8th grade. The big mistake my parents made was giving me the choice of going to public high school, because that's when I really kind of left that little world. And when I say little world, not only everything I've already told you about. I mean, my brothers went to the same high school my dad had gone to in Chicago, the same private Jewish high school, but I went to public high school and never looked back. There were bands and orchestras there and computers and sports teams and everything, and the private Jewish high school was a great place to get an education, but they knew I was a musician, and they let me choose, and I'm not kidding, they probably still regret it, because I've never gone back into the fold, you know what I'm saying? Never re-entered the small world. I kind of wandered farther and farther afield. But there were kids in the private Jewish school I went to through 8th grade who were not nice. Specifically, they were not nice to me. And I know that's shocking because I strike you as, sort of the Brad Pitt type, maybe, the Cary Grant type, Rico Suave, like always popular and well-dressed and well-groomed. That's me, I know. I give off that vibe. And I think I give off the exact opposite vibe, by the way. But in grammar school, I was severely uncool and had no idea how to dress, how to look, how to act, to be cool. My parents listened to folk music, opera music, and classical music. So if anybody wanted to know like what song was playing on the radio, I had never heard it and I didn't care. I didn't know pop music. I didn't know pop culture. My parents are both attorneys, and every Friday night, I didn't go out to parties. We went home. Friday night, we were home for Shabbat dinner. And Saturday morning, we went to synagogue every Saturday morning. And so I wasn't cool. I went to this little private Jewish school, and many of the kids were mean kids. But they were religious kids, you see. That's the gift. That's the gift of that question for me in my life. They were religious kids who were, I can't say it since I know we're streaming, but they were jerks to me and to all the other unconfident kids in the class, right? As bullies will be. And so I resented it, and I felt for years and years that they were part of the reason why I left the fold. You know why I went to public high school? Because the kids at public high school couldn't be worse than those kids, and I was right, by the way. I haven't met a small group of kids quite so nasty. But what was clearly demonstrated for me there in 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade was that just because you were religious didn't mean you were nice. Right? And certainly just because you're nice doesn't mean you're religious. We know that. So there they were teaching me a lesson that 30 years later I put into a song. I don't care what religion you are. Call it whatever you want. Pray however you want. Your clergy wears whatever clothes they want. Celebrate whatever holidays you want. Eat this pork, don't eat that, whatever it is. Just, that's fine. If you're nice, I don't care what religion you are. And if you're not nice, I don't care what religion you are. And this was among many other things, this was a real gift they gave me. They showed me hypocrisy, in some sense, right to my face. And I learned it. And I also learned like a central value of my life. And it has carried through, that value has carried through my entire life. That I'm more interested in kindness than in conformity or ideology or anything else, really. That's one of the things that catches my eye and that I just can't help but notice. I was saying about Sharon. This is an actually kind person, not somebody going through the motions of being kind. This is an actually nice person. An actually nice person, you know when you meet him. It's different. It's different than being polite or being, just kind of, you know what I mean? It's different than being poised, actually kind. I notice it. And it's always been my central value. Which takes me to fast forwarding even more years, not to writing One Power, where I wrote it about 2000 or 2001, but to about 7 or 8 years after that. I was visiting my other bubby, my dad's mom, in the hospital on her deathbed. She's 98 years old at the time. And my bubby was a tough little lady. She was the youngest of 14 kids, all of whom together emigrated with their parents from Poland around the turn of the 20th century. So 14 kids and 2 parents arrive in the United States penniless and not speaking a word of English. And my bubby being the youngest. And I don't think she ever, her name was Betty, I don't think she ever got past, I'm not kidding, like 4'8". This is a tiny person and not super fit. She was almost as wide as she was tall. She never her son, my dad, a fitness freak. My bubby, not so much. When she was in the nursing home, sometimes I'd visit her, and in Chicago, whenever I go to Chicago from California, I'd visit her, and she'd say, "Oh yeah, Danny, they made me exercise today." She's in a wheelchair, for about the last 10 years of her life, which is very unpleasant, right? So she's in a wheelchair, but it's not like it curtailed her jogging habit, and so she's like, "Oh yeah, they made me exercise." Bubby, they made you exercise? What'd they make you do? She said, "They made me do this. They made me do this," and she's chuckling, And when I would visit her, I would always sing for the residents of the nursing home, a Jewish nursing home in Chicago, and they would wheel out the people and wheel out the piano, and Danny would sing a concert, and she would always sit in the front, beaming with pride, and she only had 2 requests ever, and the main one was anything from Fiddler on the Roof. Everybody else wanted to hear the Great American Songbook, something from Johnny Mathis, Cole Porter, sing something sweet. Not my bubby, she wanted to hear, "Is this the little boy I carry?" I'm like, "Bubby, these songs are miserable. They're dismal." And she would laugh, sitting there, and then I would do a medley of Fiddler on the Roof songs, just for her. And I'd say, "Bubby, I hate these songs. I'm singing them," and everybody in the audience would laugh. I say, I sing them 1 time a year, Bubby. 1 time, just for you, never again, But on her deathbed, I had this guitar with me, actually, and sang a little bit for her. And we talked about several things that I knew about her life that we had talked about over the years. And one of them was one of her proudest achievements was in 2nd grade. So 90 years earlier. She had told me about this before, and I brought it up there on her deathbed, and we talked about it again. Now, that achievement came up in a very different setting in my own home with our boy. My wife and I have a boy, Jude, who's 11. But when he was in his first year of school, there was a kid in his class who had just arrived from Vietnam. Him, little boy, and his little baby sister, who was approximately the cutest human being who's probably ever lived on earth. The 2 of them, adorable, beautiful babies, and their parents were clearly as sweet as can be, but didn't speak a word of English themselves, so all they could do was smile to everybody. And almost every day for weeks, Jude came home with a story about trouble that Ethan had gotten into. Thrown an elbow. Of course, he didn't understand a word the teacher was saying. Didn't know where he was, didn't know anybody, didn't know what country he was in, much less what city, much less anything. Who wouldn't be agitated? So it wasn't going so well in class. And he was getting sent to the principal's office. The teacher was doing her best. She was a lovely teacher. And she had talked to the other kids about giving him space and helping him along. And then one day, the teacher called Melina and me. And she said, "I want you to know something your son said today in class. Something your son did today. That was really special." Okay? She said, "I finished reading a book to the class, 28 kids on a rug," and I'm thinking, Lord, you don't get paid enough. There's no way. And she said, "I finished reading this book to the class, and your son raised his hand." Jude raised his hand. And he said, I think Ethan did such a good job listening today that he should get an extra point. Right. I start crying. My wife looks at me like, oh, you're not going to start crying, are you? That's pretty much our dynamic in summary. And I was so proud of it, right? And when he came home, I told him, there are a lot of ways people can think of you, and a lot of ways people can talk about you. In your life, people will say you're smart, not smart, nice, not nice. They'll say you're fat or thin. They'll say you're successful or unsuccessful, poor or rich. They'll say all kinds of things, handsome, not handsome. People talk about people. But if people talk about you as kind, there's nothing better. Number one on the list. And I said, and do you know who else received some kind of kindness like Ethan did from you today? Your great-grandmother, my Bubby. Because I told him, your great-grandmother started in kindergarten, like Ethan, not speaking a word of English. And my Bubby in second grade won the spelling bee. And she was still proud of it 90 years later. And at least partly because she never even finished 8th grade. She had to go to work different times. She had to go to work to help support her parents, who were at that point basically elderly. And she was the youngest of 14, and she had to pitch in a few pennies to the family budget. For her, her academic achievement of her lifetime was that she had learned English so well between kindergarten and second grade that she won the spelling bee. And I told Jude, somebody spoke up for Betty. Somebody noticed that she was sharp. It wasn't her parents, they didn't speak English. It wasn't her siblings, neither did they. Somebody saw that what she was capable of and spent a little extra time, said a little extra nice thing to Betty, your great-grandmother. And it changed her life. And you'll never know what you did for Ethan today. There's no way of knowing. It'll almost certainly never come back to you. But it might have been the very first time that his name was spoken in that room, and everyone in the room turned to him and smiled. He didn't know what you said, but he knew how it felt, and it made a difference. And then I flashed backward to the lesson I learned from those kids in my grammar school. I'm more interested in kindness than in ideology. I'm more interested in just basically being nice, just nice. It sounds very Pollyanna, I guess, in a way. And I'm not raised to be that way. My family's not a sweet and sentimental family. Again, I'm the weirdo in the family. And but when I think of the difference that you and I can make on a daily basis with a sentence, we are more powerful than we know. I had hoped to sing you more songs than I'm singing you, but I start talking about some of my favorite people and some of my most precious moments, and time flies. So a few months after that phone call, I wrote this song. Well, lately I've been thinking about what motivates me to give a couple dollars to a stranger on the street, to hold the door, carry groceries, help a neighbor in need. When history repeats itself in headlines every day, solutions never big enough for problems that we face. As a man, as a dad, what difference can I make? 'Cause I know better than to think I'll be remembered for a favor or a quarter or a smile. Oh, but maybe before I return to sender, I can do one thing worthwhile. So I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to raise a kind child. Sure would help if our boy went and got an MBA and took care of his artist mom and dad in their old age. But let's face it, Wall Street probably isn't in his DNA. But when his first grade teacher said she wanted us to know, it's Jude who always comforts any kid who sits alone, there's just so much pride my heart can take. My retirement can wait. 'Cause I know better than to think I'll be remembered for a fortune or a pension or a prize. Oh, but maybe before I return to sender, I'll have done one thing worthwhile. So I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to raise a kind child. I don't want him to think the world is his to save. That's too much pressure anyway, it can't be done. I don't want him to think he has to be a saint, 'cause the truth is, saints don't have any fun. Mostly I just hope, my boy, you'll come to understand. No 401k or GPA can make a happy man. It's having roots, doing good, helping out where you can. So put down roots, do some good, take somebody's hand. And you'll know better than most what really matters, what makes living this life worthwhile. And there may come a day your own kids will remember how their granddad used to say with a smile that he raised. We raised a kind child. I have, yeah, thanks. Thank you. Thanks. I have, what's that? Yes, for Jude too. Thank you. That's really nice. I will tell him. Yeah. So I have, if I have, do I have a few minutes to sing one more song? Well, yeah, I know, but I don't want to be. I'm soft all around, and I don't want to get softer on time than I usually am. So, but I want to do one more song if that's okay with you. You never heard two songs in a row from the same person that were more different. I'm just going to prepare you for that right now. With all the, it's gradually dawned on me over 25 years that I overshare for a living, if that makes sense. Like, not just in the talks, in the songs. My God, it's also personal. It really is. It's very personal. I try to ignore the fact that I've just told, like real life stories and real feelings to a room full of very friendly strangers who can go home and tell anybody they want. And it gets even more daunting with streaming, given that I now know that it's literally on the internet for the rest of time. There's no. I do regularly count on my parents never watching my shows. Let's just say that. I love watching stand-up comics, and I'm sure stand-up comedians feel the same way. They must, about like, please God, let my family never watch my act. You know what I mean? Anyway, so with all that I've just told you about myself, I told you about my dad's side of the family, and I'm not going to take much time to tell you about my mother's side of the family. And hear me, by the way. Because I have a microphone, because I'm up here, and because I have songs to sing, I'm talking about my family story, but my family story is really probably no different than any family story in here. Everyone in America is an immigrant, and it doesn't take much scratching of the surface of any story in here to find unbelievable resilience and perseverance and courage. Whether it was you surviving something you survived, whether it was your parents coming to this country not speaking English, or their parents coming, somebody trusted somebody with an immigration or as a refugee, right? I mean, human stories are amazing. So I just happen to be talking about mine because it's all I got, And in my personal case, my particular case, my other Bubby and Zadie, my mom's parents, they were the Kaluki players. They were, and that little group of old-timers, I refer to them as, I never referred to them then that way, they were all the family they had for each other, and they weren't related, most of them. There were only about a half a dozen of them, and they were the only survivors in their families. My mom's parents left their town in Poland in their mid-20s. They had just gotten married. They left town because they'd heard the Nazi army was coming, and they had heard whispers of bad things, and they didn't want to be there. And each of them, and a brother on both sides, so 4 of them crossed over into Russia, were captured by the Russian army and sent to Siberia to a labor camp for the next 3 years, an experience they never talked about. How close to the surface of hell it was, we can only imagine, especially given that they never talked about it. Not a good sign. They survived it, but while they were there, heard through the grapevine what had happened the day after they left their town in Poland, is that everyone in their family had been killed. Everyone. Their parents, grandparents, uncles, aunts, brothers, sisters, everyone gone, except the 4 of them. They learned it while they were in Siberia. They also learned that they could not go home. Poland was not a welcoming place. Even after the war, they were not able to return home. So they went to the safest place in Europe, the only safe place in Europe for refugee Jews who had lost everything, American-occupied West Berlin. That's what America has always meant, and that's what it meant to them then. So they made their way, and I'll never know how. Nobody knows how. How'd they get, if you look at a map, Siberia to Berlin? No one knows how. My mom was born in a tiny clinic in Uzbekistan. That's where they were, on the back of a donkey, when her mom went into labor with her first child. And again, this is just a refugee story. It's happening right now. My mom cries reading the news about what's happening with Ukrainian refugees. It's happening exactly the same way again, right? So they were sponsored by a distant relative who lived in Chicago. Just happened to. Had moved to Chicago at the turn of the 20th century, well, actually a little later, 1920, 1930, and looked through the list of survivors and found anyone even remotely related and sponsored, according to my uncle, about 100 people to come to live in Chicago from Europe. And you may know that's an expensive proposition. They slept in their living room. The families co-signed leases and loans and helped them start businesses and helped them get apartments. 100 people, including my Bubby and Zadie, and their new baby, Sonia, my mom, and my mom's baby brother, who was born in the DP camp in Berlin before they got to the United States. So, fast forward all these years, and Danny sings songs. And what the hell kind of songs does Danny sing? It's not entirely clear to anyone. There is no music industry for me. I've been in the music industry in theory, but not really. There was never a section in Barnes & Noble. There was never no record store ever had a rack for you know, what would you say? I don't know, nice guy singing nice songs? I don't know. Yeah, it's pop, I guess, but not really. It's certainly not pop music on the radio, and it's not gospel, obviously. I'm not Christian, and what is it? I don't even know what it is. I still, to this day, 25 years later, don't know what it is. But slowly, I have spent sort of unconscious time thinking about what it is I do and why I do it, and it's gradually kind of gotten clearer to me that why I sing One Power for the 3,000th time and mean it as much as I meant it when I wrote it, right? And the answer has to be, this is nothing about this is to sound noble. I wish I wrote cranky, crappy pop songs for a living. I would have a college fund for my kid, you know, like I'd be wearing much more expensive pants, you know? But it's just been like a calling that I can't escape. It drives my wife nuts. She loves me, she's proud of me, but she's like, not every song has to be a life lesson. You can just write something sweet and simple. You know, that's the kind of music most people listen to. She's like, you don't even know the words to the pop songs you love, but you spend hours and days like crafting every line like it's a sermon. And I'm like, I can't help it. And over the years, it's just gotten clear to me that I'm clearly not doing it to get rich. I would gladly get rich from it, but I don't have a pathway to that, I don't think. Not that I can see. But I am actually doing it in honor of and in memory of my family, some of whom I know and most of whom I'll never know. They're forgotten now, a generation removed. There were no photos of them. No one knows where I got my eye color. No one knows where I got a songwriting, instinct. There was probably a songwriter up there. I'll never know who it was, right? How can I? And again, there's nothing unique about this story. This is just life. But when I've stopped to process, just a few years ago, just before the world stopped turning, really in 2019 or so, I finally hit on a 4-minute song that caught the thing that I've been trying to understand about myself. And it was a real gift, like One Power was a real gift. One Power kind of collected Danny from grammar school, summarized a feeling he'd always had, and gave me a chance to say it and sing it and mean it. You know what I mean? Over and over. It's a real gift to me, for myself. And this song is a gift too, in my life. And as I said, I overshare for a living, so now you know far more context than you needed to hear this crazy song that I'm going to do on a track, okay? And so here we go, one more song. And the last thing I'll say is I will be here for just a few minutes after the service before I'm running over to, where am I going? Plymouth, to sing a concert with my friends, Sue and Melinda. I'll be at that table, and I have things I made, things my wife made, silver jewelry my wife makes, and music, digital music, all kinds of stuff over there, and I'll just be there for a few minutes if you want to bring anything home, or just say goodbye. And then hopefully I'll get a chance to visit you again sometime, and thank you for having me. So here we go, one more song. All right. I could sing about mistakes I've made, broken hearts and broken wings. I could sing about my aches and pains and the one that got away. But it seems to me the world has its hurts to spare. Shadows are everywhere. I decided I've cried enough. There's plenty of songs about tough luck. I'm gonna sing about love. You can bring the track up. Gonna sing about love and lift somebody up instead of talking about tough luck. I can't deny I still dream about the glory, the Grammy, the gold. I cannot lie. I still wish sometimes my eyes and my heart would close, but it seems to me my family escaped the war, and they never sang anymore. They lost everything they had, and if a song is all I can give back, I'm gonna sing about love. Gonna sing about love and lift somebody up. Gonna sing about love instead of talking about tough luck. Whoa, no more tough luck. Tell you what I'm gonna do. Gonna take my cue from a few folks I look up to. I'm gonna sing about love. Stevie Wonder sings in the key of life. Bobby McFerrin said, be happy, it'll be alright. Marvin Gaye showed the way to what's going on. It's a wonderful world thanks to Louis Armstrong. Soul Asylum saved those runaway kids. John Lennon just imagined and the whole world did. John Denver took a skyward, Tina Turner to the sea. Stevie Wonder went to a higher left, John Legend and Common to freedom. Pete Seeger's gonna overcome. Bob Marley just smiled at the rising sun. Eminem will lose himself before the moment's gone. Miss Jackson knows the knowledge is what we want. Gloria Gaynor maintained that we're gonna survive. Tim McGraw wants us to live like we are dying. Aretha got R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Bette Midler from a distance, the whole world we see. Tom Petty free falls. Leanne hopes we dance. Josh Groban raises up. If we're hurting, R.E.M. understands. Irving Mead bless the USA. Van Morrison ushered in a brand new day. Whitney sang about the greatest love of all. Johnny Nash can see clearly now the rain won't fall. Hank knows we're beautiful. Christina does too. Rihanna sees us shining like a diamond. We keep walking like the Foo Fighters. Fight the power Public Enemy's head. Miley is a climber. Andy Grammer keeps his head up. Bill Withers, we can lean on him. Natasha's unwritten. Taylor Swift shakes it off again. Lady Gaga was born this way. Jason Mraz, really glad to be our friend today. The Black Eyed Peas wonder where is the love. Desiree gotta be. Journey never stop believing in us. Simon over troubled water made a bridge. Elton John lit a candle for Diana. He did. It's the same love. Macklemore was moved to pray. Izzy made a rainbow with a ukulele. James Brown loud and proud. Bruce Hornsby laid it out the way it is. Queen made us into champions. U2 and Dr. King in the power of one. Sam Cooke made you look. Change is gonna come. Peter Gabriel ain't giving up on us just yet. We are the world. Saved lives. No star they couldn't get. Irene Cara, what a feeling alive. Pharrell made us happy. Katy Perry lit a firework in the sky. Carole King, we've got a friend. Switchfoot dared us all to move again. Paul McCartney's words of wisdom were to let it be. And the weight of the world was taken off by Aloe Black and Avicii. So what do? I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna sing about love. Sing about love. And lift somebody up. Instead of talking about tough luck, I'm gonna sing about love.
Oh, wow. Thank you. It's not even enough. What you probably don't know about Daniel, he shared a lot, but you are so kind. And after the fire, you saw me at conference, and you insisted on giving me replacement music because we had lost all of our music during the fire. During COVID, he contacted me and asked if we would like him to do a service for us. So he did a service for us online, no charge. I mean, the man just has this great kindness of heart. So, I just so appreciate you. Well, circle of generosity. What a great lead into that. We like to take this time. It's really about a sacred exchange. We know we listen and we give. It's always that flow. And so we just take a moment now to really thank everybody here who has supported this ministry in so many different ways, online, through the mail. I mean, it's just amazing how things come to us. And know that part of our gratitude for this is we share with some Congregants' Choice. And in this quarter, we're sharing with House of Promise, who helps women who have been entrapped in the sex trade to come out as victors instead of victims, and also the Greater Lansing Food Bank. So I'd like you to just take a moment and just feel that gratitude. Did you got a little gratitude song in you?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. So, well, we're feeling this gratitude for all that is done to support this ministry, which is you and I. Daniel's going to take us a little bit deeper with a little...
Yeah, it needs to be on, otherwise we're good. You're right. This is a little song, some of you, I don't know if you've ever seen the song, a video called Grateful that I did with a friend of mine named Nemo.
Nemo.
And this is the chorus from that song. All that I am, all that I see, all that I've been, and all that I'll ever be is a blessing. It's so amazing, and I'm grateful for it all. All that I am, all that I see, all that I've been, and all that I'll ever be is a blessing. It's so amazing, and I'm grateful for it all. For it all. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Grateful for it all. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. I'm grateful for it all. Na 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 na. Yeah. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. I'm grateful for it all.
Thank you. That took me to that place. It's out of that place of gratitude we know that a circle is without beginning, without end. And so part of our receiving is also part of our giving. So whatever it is that you feel moved to give today, by whatever means, certainly giving of your love being part of the sacred exchange, that giving is not a debt owed, but it is a seed sowed. So we affirm this blessing for our gifts individually. Perhaps you'd like to hold up your hands and just send that loving energy one to another. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I praise, give thanks, and am glad. And with that, we're going to affirm our prayer of protection. Daniel, sing us out.
All right.
Okay. Let's affirm together. Why don't we stand? The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God is within us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
All right. Well, we sang this to begin. Let's sing it to end.
Yes.
I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Yeah. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
Thank you. And Danny will be over at his table for a few minutes before he heads off to Eastern Michigan.